So I'm here at the Rethink Leadership Conference outside Atlanta, Georgia, and I have been incredibly blessed, and I just had to share some of it with you right away. In particular, I wanted to share today a teaching session the other day by Carey Nieuwhof, summarizing his book, Leading Change Without Losing It. He said some things that I really needed to hear, and I hope they'll bless you as well. So Carey started off by talking about leading change and two principles to keep in mind. The first of those is people are more willing to change when there is pain. Carey went ahead and used the example of having needed to buy some new glasses, but he said it was only when they broke and he was in real pain when the difficulty was great enough that he actually went out and replaced the glasses. And so that means for us as leaders, part of our job is to help raise the level of discontent, to help people see what isn't going well, and hence why we need to change. And then Carey spent most of his time talking about navigating the opposition that will come when we change. So first, he talked about doing the math. He said the reality is that some people will always be frustrated by change. It brought to mind for me the diffusion of innovation bell curve, which says that there will always be some people toward the end of the bell curve who will always be frustrated. In fact, Carey pointed out that it's rarely more than 10% who are ever frustrated, and he said it's horrible math if we sacrifice the 90% for the 10%, and let's just say it, sometimes that 10% are the vocal 10%, and just because they're loud doesn't mean they're large. So the second thing he said was choose your focus. Focus on who you want to reach, who you want to connect with, not on who you want to keep. He pointed out that rarely will an unchurched person in our community call us up and say, if you would change this, I would show up at your church. But we all know you'll get the phone calls from the people inside. But we have to be willing to lose some to connect with and reach many more. Now, Carey pointed out, sometimes that pushes up against our people-pleasing. And he frankly said, if you really struggle with trying to please everybody, maybe it's time to talk to somebody. Maybe some counseling would be in order, because we're never going to please everybody. Then the third thing he said is find a filter. That filter might be different for each one of us, but Carey shared what his particular filter is. He asks himself two questions. The first of those is it biblical? Is what this person is frustrated by, is there a biblical argument for what they're saying? And if there is, then we have to pay attention to that. And then he said second, and he frankly admitted, maybe this is a little bit harsh, but he said for him, he asked, is this the kind of person, the one who brings the challenge, that I can build a church on? Is their faith, is their character such that I really have to pay attention to what they're sharing? Then fourth, he said, attack problems, not people. Always a real good thing to work the problem, not to make it personal. And in fact, Carey pointed out that you can tell a lot about a person by how they come at you. Are they making it personal, or are they just trying along with you to solve problems? And then last, don't quit. Have hope and believe that what God has planted in you will happen. Far too many leaders quit right before the breakthrough. So keep at it. In fact, consultants say that it may take 5 to 7 years, sometimes even longer, to transform a congregation. And then here at the conference, Carey did a bunch of Q&A, and he pointed out 4 more things that I found, again, very helpful. The first of those are remember mission over methods. He pointed out that this is where a compelling mission statement is helpful. Our goal is the mission, but the methods to get to that mission will always change over time. Second, remember the value of the larger church. Remember that we are just one congregation of the larger church, and other congregations can do other things that you might not be. Stay with what God has planted in your own heart and follow through on that. Third, remember the value of vision. This goes along with mission. And I really appreciated Carrie reminding me that leaders too often jump to the what and the how of a change without effectively communicating the why of why the change needs to take place. So be clear about the why before you move on to the how and the what. And then fourth, he pointed out that empathy is always helpful. Carrie used the example of a customer service representative. You have one who is empathetic and caring, and they may give you the same answer as one who is distant and cold, but we always feel better when we receive some empathy from somebody else. Well, again, I sure appreciated what Carrie shared, and I hope it's been helpful to you. Now, who are you going to share this with to bless them?